If you had to write God, what would you make him? Character creation is one of the most complicated things in my opinion, and God is one of the characters of my show project. They are incredibly important for how other characters interact, and I can't stop thinking, what do I make of God? What do I make them? Do I make them evil? Do I make them heartless? Do I make them unaware? Do I make them incomprehensible out of the nature of being a 26-dimensional being? I don't know. I truly don't know, because I've been asking this exact same question since I entered a Catholic school at 6. Is God evil? Is he gone? Are they disappointed? Are they expecting something of us? Are they not able to intervene so we can evolve? All of this under the assumption that God is not a human invention designed to help us make sense of our existence, as we always try to do. At least God does exist in this universe. The question is, even if I have the power to make them whatever I want, do I want to make them whatever I want them to be, or what I feel they are? I had this idea a few months ago. What do you mean it's been 7 months? Oh, do you mean? Okay, it's been more than a few months. I am now realizing I'm slow as fuck, but it's okay. Really, this project, even if I want for it to be big and important, is to keep me sane, since not to brag, but totally a non-productive loser at the moment. Nix and Blair are my first OCs that I actually care about enough to explore their relationships, story, world. I know I should have started sharing about them earlier, considering my goals with them and my own personal goals, but really I was just scared. I fall under the mistake of wanting to feel ready to start and always putting excuses as to why I don't. They have gone through a lot of changes. Even the other characters, who are actually new because I made them literally last month, are constantly changing, which is a bit of a problem. My first idea was to make it be more like a detectives/secret spy story in which Blair was going to summon Nix, but I felt like that didn't work in the long run. In that, let's call it AU. In that AU, Blair's personality was more of a Wednesday Addams copycat, not like she was actually inspired by her or anything. She was going to be really distant, cold, always a straight face, always wearing black, even in pajamas. She hated noise and was a workaholic, you know, the typical Wednesday Addams stuff. While Nix was really noisy, crazy, much like Deadpool actually, except that she was always clubbing, drinking, and other stuff. In that AU, she was solely a demon, which meant that she wouldn't have had empathy or regard for others, which in the long run wouldn't have worked for her relationship with Blair, since from the beginning I knew I wanted them to end up together, and in the storyline I just didn't see it happening. I have a really vague idea as to what I want for a story to be like, meaning that I know the message I want to deliver, I just don't know how. Making stories and storytelling in general is not my strong suit, and I'm fully prepared to blame the fact that I didn't have the luxury of a grandma that would constantly tell me stories in my childhood, which makes me sad because I really like to hear other people's stories, but whatever. Instead I got 2 aunts that give me a shit ton of money and all the love I can handle, which honestly is fair. Coming back to the topic, I have really debated with myself what do I want to do with this, because I put the pressure on myself that I want this to be loved by others. I want them to be sort of like recognized by a lot of people. God, I have spent a lot of time thinking about what I should do and how I should do it instead of actually trying to do it, and now that I'm here, I'm going to try to tackle one of the characters I've been avoiding the most. God. In a nutshell, Nix and her brothers are God's bio children, while the rest of creation is more like a work of art. That's a little bit of the lore that I'm almost certain I want to keep in because I like the idea. It's not original there, like we all know the typical dysfunctional celestial family trope, but perhaps God is not truly all-knowing. Yes, he knows all there is to know regarding his creation, but there is something different about knowing about your art than knowing how to treat your children. Maybe he even made humans the way they are, in an effort to see the problem from an outside view, but given how simple humans are, God probably felt it was not a good answer, or maybe he did got a good answer but decided not to act on it because for some reason. Perhaps he is a vengeful God, or has anger issues, because you have to have a problem to rip out your son's wings, even if they eventually grow back and then throw him to a dark, skyless pit of dread, not even hinting at how to get out. Or maybe it was all part of an ineffable plan, so complex and perfect that even his children, who are thoughtless in comparison, don't understand? I should know, but I don't know. It does make me wonder if any other person has written a character that they don't comprehend and succeed in making it work. Probably, but I can't ask because I don't know anyone. When God birthed his 4 children, I don't mean it as how a human gives birth. God is a being made just of light, energy. Their shape is incomprehensible to humans and just barely graspable by his children. Quick stop, I'm going to be referring to God as a him or her when I also talk about others because it's a lot of days and it gets confusing. But God is a day in my story since he's but men and women. Moving on. We, as humans, are also part of our parents. Most of our mother, since she's the one that gave us her matter to convert into ours. So I imagine that Nyx, Lucifer, Gabriel, and Michael are also part of God as much as they are themselves. And as time passes, they slowly become more of themselves. Similar to how you are not your parents, but still kind of act like them in the small things, like maybe you got your dad's ability to math, or maybe you make the same disgusted face as your mom, or have the same crooked ass fingers as your dad. Thanks, Dad. I could spend weeks trying to figure out how to write a perfect being that we can't comprehend and therefore thinks is evil or vengeful. But I had a realization. What if God is actually just as imperfect as us? He makes mistakes, and even if he knows it all, he doesn't know how to act accordingly. But humans think he's perfect because Michael thinks he is perfect. Children think their parents are perfect. Some let the illusion fall at some point, or some are really stubborn or scared to lose it. I'd imagine that Michael was the one that personally took the Bible for humans to write, and in that he made his dad seem perfect and his brother Lucifer a scumbag in an effort to excuse his father's actions as to the cruelty against Lucifer. God is an artist, and his masterpiece is humanity and the angels. This does leave the possibility that his other pieces are aliens, like maybe Rocky is canon in this universe. Who knows? Maybe that's why humanity got the tale that Zeus made humans from clay, but in this universe, Zeus is God. Like, actually, all the deities will be God, just in a different side of her, like a prism. I don't have any official artistic education in this area, but I have the feeling that you first write characters, then design them visually. I, however, don't care. I've been designing them since I got the idea, especially Nyx. I changed my mind 5 minutes after redesigning her, and same has happened with God. At first, I wanted to not show them and simply have them be sort of like an ominous voice outside camera view, and that could have worked, and it's still partially what I am thinking about doing, but now my idea is to sort of show their hands, like, you know, the hand of God, and maybe have lots of little hands come from their hand, because that'd be really off-putting and I love that. Like, imagine just 2 gigantic light hands that could squish you like an overripe grape that generate dozens of normal-sized arms to grab you, and it's also God, so it doesn't even matter if you run, they will still catch you. Lovely, isn't it? Let's round up what we got about God till now. They are an artist, predominantly a sculptor. They have anger issues, probably no idea how to parent, hyper fixated on their art. They treat humans better than their own children, goes to his children, and that's the reason Michael becomes the way he does. Really huge in size. I think they do love their children, but as a being that came out to be randomly, he never got any good parenting example. He doesn't really understand his children's physical or mental pain, since he doesn't experience pain the same as his children, and also his children don't experience pain the same as humans or angels. God never really realizes how painful falling is. That said, I don't want God to be a villain, so let's also list off some good qualities. God might ghost his children, but they are always looking over them and helps them in pretty subtle ways. I think they really enjoy art humans make, since they are an artist themselves, and especially flatter when humans try to paint space or depict it beautifully in movies or shows. They don't care which God you believe in, or even if you believe at all, because what's important is that you are good at heart. And when Jesus came down to earth, it wasn't actually his plan, but Michael's. And he really felt bad for the poor guy, so he gave him a little time to say goodbye after dying. Earth has been their favorite project, and that's why he has angels looking over it. But other planets are not totally abandoned either. Also, he let Nyx, Michael, Gabriel, and Lucifer participate on the creation of universe. And I think that's a really like love. That's showing love for God, because if I was like a parent or something and I had a really important piece of art for me and I let my toddlers basically paint on it or like help me do it, then I'd be showing like a lot of love for their little capabilities and art vision. So I think that's like really shows love God has for his children, even though he fails in showing it some other ways. But yeah, and that's God. At least my version of God for my little growing universe. Let me know who do you want a video about next, because I do still have a lot of characters to reflect about before I can start seriously designing them. And till the next one.